Bro,
African,
how was your week?
bro. Uh, got a good bit of stuff done for work. Um, Saw the boys, took them to get haircuts today.
Hmm. Nice.
Think I texted with you once or twice.
Yep.
You know,
My DMs.
how I get better than that. You know,
Yeah, it's a good week, man.
how about you?
It was good. It was Erica's birthday Wednesday.
Oh, where'd
So,
she take you?
huh?
Where'd she take you?
First, we went to this one restaurant and they had like one vegan option. It's this restaurant she had heard of and that she said I'm sorry, I can't. Somebody came in and took my daggone cup. I forget it. Screw the table. Somebody came and took my coaster, man. I'm sorry. I should have had this ready before I started. She took us to this restaurant called The Gauge that she walks past when she's at work. That being
Okay,
that we're frugal and humble people, we never go into. It's really nice. But we went in there. She had heard on the streets that they had vegan options. They had one vegan option.
okay,
So we were like, this is not a vegan friendly place. So we had to leave there. And then we went to get coffee at this other new location.
okay.
And it was the worst coffee we ever had. So then we just ended up going to one of our old school spots that we always go to get oat milk lattes and vegan banana nut muffin. So it was kind of a couple of swings, a couple of misses, but it ended up being a nice evening. So, but we're really going to celebrate this weekend because she had to give a lecture on her birthday. So,
You let her talk that much?
huh?
You let her talk that much?
I don't know what that means.
You let your wife give lectures?
Oh, if I had the capacity to stop it, but it's fine. So I'm not sure what we have planned for. I don't. But ultimately we went to the opera. That was, I think, the main birthday event. We went to the Lyric Opera of Chicago to watch a double feature. I don't know what you call when you see two one-act opera performances. I don't think they call it a double feature.
Hey, bro, I'm starting to think that dude that was lying on you on the internet might have been telling the truth.
Which dude is that?
Buddy that said that you told everybody to quit their job and you live in a mansion. Because you out here
I
going
wish it was true. Man, you don't know
going
how
to the
often I sit
opera.
here and wish the lies that were told about me were true. Gosh, I wish everything. I wish I was an agent. I wish I could get on the submit some invoices about what these niggas doing and get paid for it. Nothing, boss. I ain't nothing to get in this. Nothing to report this week. I ain't get paid for that. So yeah. But I don't recall ever telling anyone to quit their job. And I've always lived in my house. I've lived 1 year in a house. All the other times I've lived in apartments. I'm a city dude. So front and backyard and land around your house, that's not something I've ever had. So I've always lived in apartments and projects and condos. So I've always lived.
I just don't know what to think about you anymore, bro.
Like I said, my entire life, I've lived with people stacked on top, below, beside me. That's my lifestyle. So, but Eric and I always say, if we move again, we're going to get a yard and plant some fruit trees. But we probably not going nowhere.
Oh, well, I happen to know a place.
I'm like I said, I'm a city cat, man. I need public transportation. A very,
Now,
very
when you going to the opera, you didn't take no bus to the opera?
No, we walked. But yeah, the Lyric Opera. It was a black. I don't know. I don't know the terminology. I can't even remember the name of the operas we saw. That's kind of Erica's thing. Normally I'd be like, you should take your mother or something, but she. I don't pretend to like high culture, but she likes that the literary component and the drama So, but it was fun. I hate to say that I enjoyed it, but that ain't me, dog.
I'm gonna look at an opera on YouTube. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that this weekend.
Yeah. But can I address a pet peeve
What's
from
up?
somebody left a comment the last time we were on the air? I had called someone an Uncle Tom.
Okay.
And every time I call somebody an Uncle Tom, some really smart and brilliant and forward-thinking person comes to remind me that it's inappropriate for us to call someone an Uncle Tom, because Uncle Tom is actually a hero.
Yeah, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Yeah.
And Sambo was actually the villain, and Uncle Tom is not only the hero of the story, that Uncle Tom is named after a legitimate historical figure who was an abolitionist and a minister.
Okay.
And I have to curse people out every time they come to me with that bullshit.
Okay.
Because the story, and this kind of aligns with what I want to discuss today, because the story of Uncle Tom and Black people discovering that we should love Uncle Tom, consistent with what I say, American greatness and the allies of white power, and Black people buying into white people's bullshit. Because number one, Uncle Tom's Cabin was written by a white woman, right? A poor white woman. And when this white, and I'm not going to call her names, she was a Calvinist and an abolitionist herself, I believe. So I'm not going to call her names. But this was a poor working class white woman who wrote a book about slavery, white woman. And that book was the best-selling book in the country. There was only one other book that outsold her book, and that was the Bible at times of publication. It sold over 300,000 copies when more than half the country was fucking illiterate, right?
Okay.
And so she became famous. She met with dignitaries and presidents and flew across the world and made big cash. Now, at the time she wrote that book, there had been several text, articles, testimonials, and books written by the plight of African people who, I said she flew. Thank you. She sailed across the world. She sailed across the world. I'm sorry. I appreciate that. See, I'm not above correction. See, it's that. So I don't want people to think I'm going off on Uncle Tom because I'm above correction. But there had been Africans all over North and South America who had escaped bondage and told journalists and biographers their story. Not only that, Hosea Henson, the man that Uncle Tom was based off of, he did an autobiography of his real life experiences of slavery and the trials he went through for self-emancipation, i.e. escape. He wrote an autobiography himself. Do you think his book was the top seller after the Bible? Do you think he got rich? Do you think Harriet... See, that Beecher name is very tempting. I could do some things with her name, Harriet Beecher Stowe. I could do some things with that name if I wasn't the just and righteous man that I am. So Harriet Beecher Stowe, you think she gave him a dime? And here's the thing that white folks couldn't hear about slavery from Africans. White folks could not digest the horrors and realities of slavery being told to them verbally, being written for them in journals, articles, and books from Africans. It took a white woman to write a fictional account. I want to bang this table, but I'm scared it'll mess up my delicate setup. Imagine, to write a fictional account about our plight. And here we are in 2025 after having over 200 years of our own people telling us our own stories about what we went through, and they still jeffing with this woman. They still telling us we should take her account, and not only should we hold her account in high regard, we should use her sensibilities and her perceptions to dictate what we say. Because when I first heard the word Uncle Tom, I heard it from Malcolm X. I heard Malcolm X call black people who weren't loyal to the cause and black people who were bowing to the white man, he called them Uncle Tom handkerchief head Negroes. So I didn't learn about Uncle Tom from Harriet Beecher Stowe. I learned about what an Uncle Tom was from Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I heard Malcolm X. I heard my uncles and them used to say Uncle Toms and stuff, but when it really, by the time I was old enough to start casting such aspersions and accusations. And so Harriet Beecher Stowe, and it was always understood that the Uncle Tom is the accommodating black man that makes white people feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. So she invented this Uncle Tom character so that white people could find a slave. Uncle Tom is the slave that makes white people sympathetic. Uncle Tom didn't lob off no heads. He didn't burn no plantations. He took a beating on behalf of another slave. Oh, master, don't beat him. I'll take his licks. I'll take their licks. So even if I was to accept this woman who stole our story and got rich off our story and took attention away from the real factual reality for her own personal wealth and fame, even if I was to accept that, I still don't like Uncle Tom. I'm still not going to celebrate Uncle Tom. Let's hear about Nat Turner's cabin. You can't because he burned that shit down. I would rather hear about Nat Turner's ashes than Uncle Tom's cabin. So please, just to say, and I'm done here, stop correcting me. I know what I'm saying. I read Uncle Tom's Cabin. I got a B+ on the report that I had to write as a reporter as a result of that book. I understand you Uncle Tom suckers who need your story told from a white woman, from the sympathies, and you want to take a fictional account of slavery from a white woman as opposed to a real account. So if you want to be respectful of the Uncle Tom's legacy, that's on you. I wasn't raised that way. And no disrespect to Hosea, the real black man that she plagiarized the story from and didn't give a dime to. But shut up in my comments. Stop inboxing me about, brother, you do know that Uncle Tom was actually, we need to stop using Uncle Tom as a disparaging. I will never. Never.
I just think what's hilarious about this is you being like a white woman wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. And I knew the name Harriet Beecher Stowe, but I always thought about Phyllis Wheatley.
She was an Uncle Tom. But go on.
Like that's it, and you know, like Nelly and I talked about this morning about how a person can be like incredibly wrong about a thing. And just thinking about Harriet Beecher Stowe and Phyllis Wheatley, and Phyllis Wheatley was basically being like, thank you for enslaving me so that I could become a Christian. And I don't think we should celebrate that in the same way that I don't think we should celebrate anyone that made people that oppressed and enslaved us feel better.
Yeah, I always saw Uncle Tom's Cabin when they were like, this story was a precursor to and they said that Abraham Lincoln read Uncle Tom's Cabin. It was like,
man, these tall tales, boy. These tall tales.
I'm like, but that's the whitest shit. We do that shit now. Remember that movie? It ruined one of my favorite songs, Dangerous Minds. It's literally some white savior shit. Like, I'd say, remember that skit Dave Chappelle had, the first season of the Dave Chappelle show. And he said, I feel that I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't think anybody will hear my thoughts because I'm a black man. So I'm going to have a white woman come on stage and read my thoughts, because I think that's the only way America will really be willing to listen to the thoughts of a black man if they're articulated through a white woman. And I'm not a fan of Dave Chappelle. It just came to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's like, I ain't gonna show it.
Yeah, you can't show it. Can't even play it for the
They're gonna
copyright
snatch
strike.
the thing.
Because I don't want you to lose no money on this. Because clearly you be making hundreds of thousands of dollars
In my
off
mansion.
these YouTube videos.
Yep. I gotta tell you, hey, but I do want. I'm not gonna play the audio. Maybe I can get away. I'll just show it. I'll just show it for 1 second, but just to show people I'm not crazy. But this is a thing that's been going on where black people, like, if you want the world to hear what you say, then you got to get a white person to say it for you. Where is that? Oh, it's here. Okay, here it is. But this is just the image of the skit where Dave Chappelle brought this white woman on stage to articulate his thoughts because a black man can't. Where's Dave? Oh, crap.
That was it.
That was it. It's pretty short skit, but it's shit is real. This is that Uncle Tom shit. And so that was like 20-something years ago where a brother's like, man, who cares what I have to say? People say now, talk is cheap. All you do is talk. Like, we don't value when we say some shit. And the same people that go online and tell you, oh, shut up, you talking, will go into the hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to listen to a white man talk so he can get a piece of paper from the same white institution. So all that to say is, I guess I shouldn't tell people my vulnerabilities, because there are some people that don't have my best interest in the world. But one of the things that really gets my stress hormones rise is when somebody comes and tell me about the right way to use or to call out somebody and the right way to use Uncle Tom. It makes me so mad because they're so smug. They're so proud of themselves. They know literature. Like you ever had anybody correct you on the appropriate or inappropriate way to use on? You ever had any of them people come for you?
Yes.
You don't call people names.
No, I don't. But I too have heard that. I was not.
They're so proud of themselves.
I was not versed enough in this to kind of talk about it in the way that you have. But yeah, I think you made fantastic points. Fantastic points were made.
I appreciate it, man. And if you don't agree with me, you are Uncle Tom. Tell the streets that. Anyway, have you heard about the incident where a horde of black middle schoolers assaulted a mother and her 2 children here in Chicago?
A middle schooler?
Middle schoolers.
They attacked a woman and child?
Yes, and it was a mother, a young mother, and the mother of a middle schooler, so not that young. And she suffers or struggles with sickle cell anemia.
Oh no!
She's quite small for her age. As an adult woman, she's below average height and weight of an adult woman because she suffers from sickle cell anemia.
No,
and,
it's not
but to take nothing away, my shout out to Dominique, may he rest in peace. My first bully had sickle cell anemia, so I'm not suggesting sickle cell people are all weak, or maybe I was just super, super weak. But neither here nor there. And there's nothing funny about sickle cell. Yeah.
All right, so get into the story, bro. I don't know what you own tonight, but hey, bro.
Just organic green tea. That's it.
Okay.
So anyway, see, her son was being bullied. Sweetest looking young man. Bless his heart. He reminded me of my oldest when he was around that age.
Okay.
And an even smaller child. So a horde of young black youth followed them down the street.
A horde.
Okay. Yeah, a couple of dozen. And they're wearing school uniforms, the khaki pants, navy shirts, and they are assaulting, and it gets brutal. And so they assault this young person. And I've been just reading the various commentaries about that assault, right?
Okay.
And then there was another thing in my hometown. That happened where I live, but there's another thing in my hometown, Kansas City, where there was a funeral. And at this man's funeral, two women whom I assume he was involved with showed up at his funeral and they were twerking.
Okay.
And then there was the Navy National Guard of the United States of America has announced that they will no longer deem swastikas, nooses, or the Confederate flag as symbols of hate.
Okay.
Because the policy was if you had swastika tattoos, if you were hanging nooses around the common areas or areas where other enlisted people could say them, or you weren't, or Confederate flags, you could be penalized, disciplined, or even ousted from the National Guard.
Okay.
And now they said that they will still ban the display of the Confederate flag, ban the display of nooses, and ban the display of swastikas. They're not allowed to be displayed publicly, but you will not be reprimanded in terms of engaging in hateful behavior, intimidation, and the other penalties that could come as a result of that. So it's basically normalizing and accepting Nazi and Jim Crow and slavery symbols and symbols of lynching as acceptable. So if because like if you were enlisting in the military and you had in fact there's a Democrat running for office who had a Nazi tattoo, and he said, well, it's not a Nazi tattoo. It was. He said it's not a Nazi tattoo because when I enlisted I had this tattoo, and if it was deemed to be a hate or a Nazi tattoo, I wouldn't be allowed to enlist.
Okay.
But what the military has done has there's a lot of Nazi adjacent, like Nordic symbols that the Nazis have adopted, even the green toad, the OK sign, white power. So because overtly white nationalists, overtly racist, overtly Nazi symbols were banned, they have gotten adjacent so that they can communicate, like the spider web tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on the elbow or on the shoulder or whatever, the webbing of the neck, a spider web can communicate. Or it used to be, what's that, Heil Hitler?
88.
But anyway, I'm tying these three things together because the commentary, where one thing where Black people were saying there's something inherently wrong with us. Our children are assaulting adults in the streets. We're twerking on the at funerals, which somebody have to explain to me why it's not appropriate to twerk at a funeral.
Can't be me.
And even people I admire are coming up with these commentaries. So at the same time, we're under overt fascism, overt racism, where the Groyper movement is a Nazi, theocratic, neo-fascist, but I don't like that term neo-fascist, but that's what they use. The Groyper movement is becoming mainstream. So there is a split in the MAGA movement because Trump, believe it or not, is engaged in a lot of mainstream, mainline Republican policies and positions. And so there is a further right extreme represented by the Groyper movement, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are going further to the right. And so at the same time, Black people are still making respectability arguments. Like, what's wrong with us? And we the only people. And at the same time, there is a fascist, or I wouldn't say an American regression back to its roots. America's being made great again. I don't know if you saw the statistics, because whenever they do the survey saying, when was America great? When you say make America great again, what era of greatness are you referring to? And the 1950s, post New Deal, pre-civil rights. That sandwich in times after the white folks had gotten their New Deal social benefits, but they still maintained the racial hierarchy. It's the time that white people say, or the majority people, and many Black people, believe it or not, say that that's the time of America that they want to return to. where black people are policed and demonized, and white folks are allowed to be overtly racist and still be whole all American.
I just typed in the chat. Wasn't Truman president then?
He's from Missouri too.
But wasn't Truman president then?
Yes.
Wasn't he a Democrat?
Yes.
So the greatest time in American history is when a Democrat was president?
Yes.
So we elect Republicans?
Well, the Republicans have inherited the baton. Yeah, and there's no logic to it too, because you'll notice that a lot of stupid black people love to talk about the Democrats were the Confederate Party. And the Democrats were the party of the South that opposed slavery. I mean, that opposed abolition of slavery. And so they were like, the Democrats, it was the Republicans who freed slaves. And it was the Republicans who supported Reconstruction and black suffrage. It was the Republican Party. And it's really funny. I'm like, why are you telling me this in 2025 about what the Republicans did 150 years ago? Why don't you go tell racist white people? Because it doesn't seem that the racist white people don't understand that the Democrats are the racist party, because they're all Republicans.
But if I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to feign like I don't know what I'm talking about here. But they all left the Republican Party after they passed the Civil Rights Act.
Yes. Yes. Well, here's the problem. The Republicans were always the party seen as the party of the masses, the party of the working classes. And the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party was seen as the working people's party. The farm workers, the factory industrial laborers. They were always, as they are seen now, pro-union, pro-regulation from their inception. And so at the time of slavery, African people, the masses of white people, were Democrat, while the Republicans were the aristocratic party, as they are now. So as black people were first emancipated, we joined the Republican Party and we were a solid part of the Republican Party. But as black people began to secure and fight for integration, we said, well, this aristocratic party does not represent our economic interest. And so we were migrated from the aristocrat party to the party of the commoners, because we joined the working class masses as workers. And when we were still understood that there were two factions, like both parties have many factions. There were two factions within the Democratic Party. You had the Southern faction, the Northern faction, the Yellow Dog Democrats, the Southern Democrats and the Northern Democrats. So we didn't join the Democratic Party.
Yep.
We joined a faction of the Democratic Party. And also, at that era where the switches were being made, the president wasn't that substantial of a political figure as he is now. Now you have what is called the imperial presidency, or the executive is exercising way more power than he did back then. So your local precinct chair, your local party precinct's chair, your local alderman was much more a relevant political figure in your life than the president of the United States. And so people engaged, politics was local. And so, but it's a lot of factors in. But just to say, well, the Democrats were racist and the Republicans were anti-racist. There's wherever you find white folks, you're going to find racism.
Yeah, we don't have a historical example of that not being the case. Right. And something that you argue that I think is important to state here. Racism is just one of the ways, what is the way that behavior shows up, because there are other groups of people.
Right.
Because these people behave the same way when everybody was in the same group.
Right.
So it's not something with us, it's something with them. Like, what makes them that way?
Right. And so it can be said that America is becoming great as white people define its greatness. Because there are several components to making America great. And the average white citizen of the United States takes the position in terms of what they believe about America is that white people shouldn't just occupy the top of the hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
But white people should be able to assert, articulate, and demonstrate their superiority without apology. The white majority is to show no sympathy or any guilt for past or present injustices directed towards the lesser people, the takers.
All right, so
the dependents.
So I put in the chat, I'm confused, because I picked up where we were going. This is what confuses me. Positing that they're correct, that they owe nothing, they owe no apology, they they got it the way that they got it, right?
Mm.
They should not show any regret or concern about those things. This is what confuses me. What do you, white man, who earns less money than millionaire Diallo, what do you have to show for that? Like, I would not be walking around cheering and bragging about Diallo's house when I don't have a house.
But most black people would, though.
Clearly. And that just concerns me. Like, it confuses me. Like, white people have accomplished, insert whatever you want to say that they have accomplished. But you, sir, haven't. So what does white people accomplishing these great things get for you? And I hate to sidetrack us, and I don't want to start talking about religion, but it's akin to how ridiculous people sound. Like, my pastor got a Rolls Royce. Like, how does that help you?
Well, white people have asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a white man. I'm a heterosexual, cisgendered, Christian American.
Right.
Which by all those factors, I should be wealthy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are white people that ask that question. And they get an answer. The only reason you're not as wealthy as Trump is because of DEI. The school you were supposed to go to was your position in Harvard was taken by a minority. Your job at a multinational corporation was taken by a woman. Your position in the institution of higher learning was taken by a transgender. You don't have a business because the EPA wants to protect some endangered species, which won't allow you to expand and grow.
A lizard.
Right. And your tax dollars and the money you do, what little money you do work for, the government takes it all away and gives it to migrants and black women in ghettos through food stamps and Section 8. So the poor white person says, you're absolutely right. I don't have as much as the wealthy white man. And it's all because of you minorities. And if I vote for and get behind this wealthy white man, because this wealthy white man has obviously figured out how to defeat you parasites, defeat you welfare Queens. So I'm going to follow him because he knows the way to wealth and how to get what's coming to me away from the people who are robbing me, which is the unworthy minorities.
Okay. So again, not saying none of that is true. I'm just saying if you, second person plural, were to tell me that the reason I don't have nothing is because of Mexicans, I really want us to figure out, well, if you have it, why are you giving it to the Mexicans and not me? My issue is still with the person that is giving it to the Mexicans.
You're confused. You never heard a white person say a Mexican was given my job. They say they took our jobs. And you're right. The job is being given to the Mexican. And you know who's giving your job to the Mexican?
The person Democrats. I'm supporting.
The Democrats. The Democrats are giving your money to a disabled, autistic, transgender, communist, illegal immigrant Mexican is being given your wealth. It is the Democratic Party that is taking your wealth and giving it to them. And we, the Republicans, are fighting the Democrats.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So okay.
They got the answers.
Okay. All right. So boom, here we go. Mississippi, up until this month, has had a Republican supermajority.
Mm-hmm.
The House, the Senate, the governor, all statewide elected officials, Republican supermajority.
Mm-hmm.
We still last.
I can answer that for you. Answer that for you. The Republican governor and state legislature, their hands are tied. And one of the main reasons we as white people cannot get what we want is because we have strayed from God. We don't allow prayer in schools. We've taken God out of the country, and God is showing his displeasure and wrath by maintaining us in this poverty. And even though we have a Republican a Republican state legislature, a Republican governor, and all local jurisdiction is Republican, the federal government will not allow us to govern ourselves. And it utilized, this was a very popular thing, states' rights. So the federal government, the feds will come in, and what they're saying, we can't discriminate, we can't pray in schools, and we have to allow transgenders to read to our bedtime stories to our children. And they forcing us to gay marry. So every level say, hey, the state ain't doing shit because of the feds. The feds ain't doing shit because of the Democrats. Well, the Democrats, we run it. Well, God is punishing us, and our hands are tied. The elite whites tell the white masses, I really want to do the right thing by you, but my hands are tied by these entities. And if you really start to penetrate, then it's the Illuminati. But you're asking questions the average white racist never asked, though. You're giving them way more credit than they deserve. Because they usually stop at, oh, yeah, it's the blacks and the minorities and the immigrants. They don't go beyond that. But you are as far as playing the white devil's advocate, you are a magnificent advocate.
Y'all, I'm telling you right now, if somebody walked up to me right now and was like, hey, why you ain't got no insert whatever I don't have? I just can't look at a poor person and be like, that's the reason why.
But most black people can. You ain't most black folks. Dr. Umar was talking about Chicago because there was $50 million which is not even 1% of the Chicago city budget, not 1%, was allocated for processing and servicing the immigrants, the Venezuelans, the Haitians, and the Hondurans that were being dumped here by Florida and Texas governors, illegally trafficking these people and dumping them in the streets. And so they said, well, this is a vulnerable at-risk population. They have to have health screenings because they come from Honduras, Venezuela, Haiti, and they could have tuberculosis, communicable diseases. They're literally just out in the streets, and winter is coming. And Dr. Umar came and was raging. And Black people in the community were raging, saying, Black people's here suffering, Black people here with issues, and you're giving all this money to the immigrants. Now, at the same time, Walmart, Amazon have taken hundreds of millions every cycle. These multinational corporations extract hundreds of millions and billions from this city. There are
and then don't pay the laborers.
Yes. No. Not only do they not pay the laborers, we have to subsidize their workforce. Can you imagine if I say somebody come here and be a maid in my mansion, come clean my house, and Skip gonna pay you? Well, I'll pay you enough to get transportation back and forth, but Skip gonna take care of your health care. He's gonna take care of your housing, and I only will pay you enough to get for transportation. And so even Dr. Fubar, the Pan-Africanist, was on tape in public talking about, they're giving it, and there was so many people hooping and hollering about that little 50 million. And the real rub was the 50 million was not given to the immigrants. The 50 million was given to U.S. citizens to provide services for the immigrants. So it was creating jobs for Chicagoans, not for profits, religious agencies or faith-based agencies that do housing and other services that they were doing for no money. And so it actually improved the state of the city. It actually improved our overall quality of life and put more revenues in the working class hands, not in migrants or the elite people's hands. But all that's to say is, if somebody came and told you these females are the reason why you're not successful, you should be, these females, how many people, more black women are going to college than black men. That's the problem. So even though you won't fall for that, everybody, if you come and tell me there's somebody in the streets that's got beef with you and doing you harm, and it's some 4'3", 115-pound little weakling dude, you'd be like, that's the dude that got beef with you. I'm like, what's up? Versus, I don't know, Mike Tyson. So people are very keen to listen, and when they say the source of your problem and your enemy is somebody that's much weaker and less worthy than you, that's a very hard thing to break. If I come and tell you your enemy is the dude with the nukes and the aircraft carriers, and the next man come and say, them ain't your enemy. Your enemies is these sissies and these single mothers. Who you think you can whoop? Who you think you got a better chance of going toe to toe with? And it's just logical. So the people out here telling you that your enemy is the next weak person are always going to be heard over the people telling you, now your enemies are the elites and the powerful, especially when you believe that one day when you buy the right stock or you buy the right Bitcoin or you secure the right plot of land, you about to join the elites. You ain't working to join the unwashed masses.
Man.
So it's a good hustle, man.
My problem is these sissies and these men that think they women playing basketball.
Yes, and I tell you, that's who you got beef with. You bust out the door like, where they at? Let's go. Even though we know they, all their life they had to fight. So I've never been a gay dude in the hood that didn't know how to.
I just bro, do you know? It's essentially like old black people, right? I can't find a job. my mama strung out, my daddy locked up. What I'm supposed to do? And them looking at me and saying, "Pull your pants up."
Mm-hmm.
You could never give me advice again, and I just don't. What is wrong with people that they fall for this?
It's respect. That's what blows my mind. The respectability. Like, who are we trying to live up? Whose standard are we? Because white folks ain't got no credibility in anything. White folks have lost their constitutional credibility when they. I love remember when white people were walking around with pocket constitutions?
Boy, remember when they were like, "We gonna take a day at the Capitol and just read the Constitution"?
Yes, white folks used to love the Constitution, and now Trump violates the Constitution by his mere existence. So they don't care that they didn't lost their. They didn't. I mean, I don't think they ever had. But as far as their faith-based,
bro, listen.
They got no Christian credibility.
Listen, this man got outside children, divorced,
Family
and everybody's
values.
just like, people not perfect. And it's just like, man, like, bro, like,
yeah,
what is
family values, Judeo-Christian family values, their economic values, hard work and sacrifice, being fiscally responsible and fiscal conservatism. This man is ballooning the debt, so even, we can't, you got to be debt free and debt sovereignty. The white majority, the MAGA movement. Now, I never believed that shit, but the MAGA movement has taken away any credibility. All the stuff white conservatives have been screaming from the rooftops since I was a child. They've abandoned it all. The only thing they've been consistent about is racism. That's the only thing they haven't contradicted. You name one other conservative, right-wing, or wholesome American value or point of view that the white majority has not completely abandoned, obliterated, or shit on. Name one. Aside from racism.
Can't.
And so when black people like, what's wrong with us? Who is the standard now? All you black folks that wanted to seem articulate and seem proper and seem acceptable and seem professional and seem patriotic. Now, who are these Negroes comparing us to now? Who are these Negroes saying we falling short of now? Remember when Bill Cosby said we didn't keep up our end of the bargain?
Boy.
That white folks said we could be full Americans if we conduct ourselves as Americans. So
and I just want to say this.
Where they at though, Brittany? Where they at?
Listen.
That's what she said.
Listen.
List them.
Listen.
Who? Where they at though? Who? Elon Musk? The wealthiest whites?
Listen, bro. The same black people that told us that if we would just get our acts together, white people would treat us better, are the same black people that are finding all of the hoops that they can possibly jump through to tell us that we got to stop acting like the way that white folks are acting now. All they doing is stealing shit. They high. They doing all the drugs. They can't keep their families together.
They operating off of pure debt. They just spending and blowing money like it's going out of style. Raiding the national budget.
As soon as they get $1, they go buy some. The president can't afford a plane. He got a plane. He got the plane in his mama name.
Gold all on my wall. Remember, all gold, everything. Remember, people was mad at Trinidad James with gold all on my, and he didn't lace the whole White House. First half the White House, he didn't tore down.
Listen, the man tore down a historical building. Was just hey, we're gonna recreate this shit,
and didn't even use a licensed union contractor. He got a bootleg. He pulled up at Home Depot and found a few Mexicans he hadn't deported yet and drove them on the back of a pickup. I mean, this is the honky tonk presidency, man. Oh my. But it's still black folks out here looking at white folks as the standard. We have to dress and articulate ourselves and structure our families and our value systems and spend and
If
purchase.
only we would be married.
We still out here. We got black people out here, Candace Owens, got black people out here still looking at white people as the standard, as people we should strive for equality with, and to demonstrate people we have to demonstrate that we're our worthiness to. So please, sisters, feel free to twerk at my funeral. If there is any afterlife, I promise you, any blessings from the ancestral realm I can bestow upon you.
You see what my Brittany said?
What'd she say? That's not Brittany.
It just it moved.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. One of the components to make America great again is black people to be less than. Black people being less than is the only way America could be great, because according to most white people and too many black folks, every time black people rise up and assert ourselves is literally the time of the downfall. The 60s and the ramping up of the black liberation struggle and the black power movement and even the civil rights and integrationist struggle was the start of the fall. So all these black people who want America to be great, as America is defined, a nation for, by, and of white people. And they ain't even all white people, because all these Irish people, all these Polish people, all these Spaniards and Italians, these are white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. So the majority of white people ain't white enough. And they don't even understand that once they get rid of because black folks are finding it out, even here in Chicago. ICE is bum rushing black people. So we thought, okay, when Trump gets elected, he'll take care of those transgenders. And that's one busload. It ain't enough transgender people to keep these fascists occupied.
Listen,
so
bro.
we smoked them.
I just want to say this, man. I'm gonna let you get your shit out. I just want to say this. We gonna assume that there are 4 million trans black people in America. That's 25%. And I'm rounding up to get to 25%.
Well, they can't play sports anymore.
Bro, you got 2 sons just like I do. You ever been to a little kid's soccer match?
No. Yes, I have, but not my sons. My sons didn't play soccer. We black. But I've been to like bitty basketball, but I have a niece who played soccer.
Okay.
And I went to her matches.
Did you see anybody out there that was going pro?
Not yet. No, not that I know of. But they wouldn't be old enough to go pro. They little, but no. Short answer.
I watched some little girls play soccer Sunday. Love my little niece. Love her. If they would have put a dog out there, I don't think it would have been any different.
Wow, man.
So you mean to tell me that of the 4 million trans people in America, that's black, 4 million black trans people in America, when we get down to the sports, all of them want to play women's basketball, all of them want to play women's soccer, all of them want to play softball?
Well, whether that's a yes or a no, a large significant chunk of black men especially are willing to fully endorse fascism in order to prevent that potentiality.
And that's all I'm saying. Like, what little girl sporting event did you go to that you thought if they put a boy out here?
Can I do you one better?
Go ahead.
I was in college when there was a move for funding parity for women in men's sports.
Mm-hmm.
This is back in the early 90s. And they had gone all the way to the federal government to say, hey, these schools are not giving enough attention or funding to women's sports at the high school and collegiate level. And even though I don't watch sports, I was very active in sports and enjoyed playing them. And men were viciously and relentlessly attacking women's sports, saying that they're not legitimate. And even when the WNBA players were striking for pay parity, and my position on that is that play that but I won't get into my position. Nobody cares. But oh yeah, that's it. Title IX, and men were vicious against Title IX for funding women's sports. And now those same men are pretending like they are champions and protectors of women's sports, when they were saying women's sports isn't worth the funding, the support, or recognition. So I would imagine that those men would be like, yeah, who cares what happens? So they went from women don't even really play sports, they're the weaker sex, they shouldn't, and their sports aren't relevant, they ain't worth funding and supporting, to saying we have to defend and protect women's sports. They some lying motherfuckers. They don't care about women, and they don't really care about trans people. But
and again, what I'm saying, when I say it's 4 million, trust that I know I'm exaggerating that number. I'm trying to say that if it's 4 million, that is 25% of black people.
Right. But the reality is, anybody that's scapegoated by the fascists, you have to ally with. That's the thing. The fascists are never honest and never direct. There's no such thing as an honest fascist.
Listen, man, I just want to say this. I too have some very sexist opinions about women's sports. And you know why I keep my mouth closed? Because the people that will agree with me are not people that I want agreeing with me on any subject. Like, so if I have a very unpopular opinion that I think, and people that I don't want to agree with me on anything are like, well, you know, I'm rethinking my position.
Yeah.
Like, just because this is a scumbag. And you know, we've said, I know I've said on this show that, you know, a broken clock is right twice. But I heard somebody else say that a broken clock is really only telling you the time that it got broken. Any other time that we are talking about this broken clock is right, it's happenstance.
And how do you even confirm if the broken clock is right? If you're dependent on a broken clock to give you the time.
That's all I'm saying. Bro, like, what? You agree with me on this? Oh, let me be quiet.
Yeah.
Because clearly there's something happening here that I don't know, because I don't agree with you on nothing.
Yeah. But there are many black people, because my concern is, as far back as I know their history, and I apologize because I know there's some good white folks like Harriet Beecher Stowe. I know there are some decent white folks in the world.
Hey, bro, let me tell you this. Back in 2009, 10, I had a BlackBerry. And I had a running list of white people I liked. A list. And the thing is, in the same way that white people can look at black people and assume that we are committing crimes, we are welfare queens, we don't belong, hide your daughters. If that is what white people are willing to assume about African people, I am willing to prove and take the same position that they are taking in regards to white people, because that has to be an admission of guilt. Because I would be shocked to meet a rapist. Why? Because I am not one.
Yeah, but I know some brothers that could carry that classification. But as far as good white folks, there's another thing I always try to press. There's this one white boy I used to, he had a radio program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a Green Beret. And this is the time of the Bill Clinton administration. And he basically inherited the Gulf War. Remember when Clinton, whenever the Monica Lewinsky was going to testify, he'd do a bombing raid on Iraq. So this is a long time ago. But this man was a Green Beret, special forces, was sent into war zones throughout Central and Latin America, the Middle East, and North Africa. A well-trained soldier, a Rambo type, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he would talk about, he was doing a radio show, and he became aware that he was a stooge, that he was cannon fodder for multinational corporations, that the wars he fought in were unjust and illegal, right? And that he was not fighting for democracy. He was not fighting for the American people. He was not fighting for justice. He was a mercenary for profit, right? And so do you think this white man who was trained in weapons and sabotage and espionage and all manner of warfare, and he found out that he was being duped, did he take his machine gun and turn around? Where he was this way with his machine gun aimed at third world, malnourished, oppressed people? Did he take it and turn it around at the multinational corporations and oppressive government? He changed his name. He removed his uniform. He had a buzz because he grew out his hair, got a bunch of tattoos, and went to be like a cola nut farmer in Costa Rica. Because when he became good, he lost his capacity to fight. When white folks want to be evil, they are the best. They are bloodthirsty. When they become good, they standing next to us. Like you're in a corporate boardroom doing evil, and you look out the window and see people protesting and saying your corporation is destroying the world's ecosystem. And you're sitting at the head of the table. And you were like, they're destroying the world's ecosystem. You stand up, take off your tailored suit, and go out and stand outside with the other people. So that's my problem with good white people. Like, why didn't you just, if you changed your mind, you could still stay in that position of power and fix it. But whenever they want to be good, they also want to be oppressed, and they want to be down here with us. And so even when I find a good white person with a good analysis, you'll notice that they still take the position that power is the only legitimate source of authority. White power is the only legitimate source of authority and the only legitimate source of violence. So even when they're good, they still give credence and give legitimacy to evil. That's my problem with the average white person. Good white. Not all white folks.
They gon' listen, good whites ain't got nothing. And they only get good after they've given up all the things that they could have done. Hey man, my mama got billions of dollars. I'm just gonna take this and just not do nothing with the company because it's rough.
Right. It's like, oh, I was radicalized into being a racist. I was a racist, and I had a whole lot of guns. But now I realize racism is wrong, so I'm going to get rid of all my guns. Like, you haven't realized racism is. You ain't realized shit. In fact, you're dumber now than when you were a racist.
Yeah, man. These people sick, man. What do vegans cook for Thanksgiving?
Tofu. The vast majority of Thanksgiving dishes are vegan. Greens, green beans, the stuffing's made of bread.
Bread ain't vegan?
Bread is vegan. Bread is vegan. What are you talking about? It's grain, salt, and water. Maybe yeast.
And butter? And an egg?
You don't need egg and butter to put in there. And there's egg replacer and egg substitute, and there's vegan butter.
There's no such thing, bro.
There's vegan butter. There's vegan butter. There's udder butter. But you don't need that for bread.
Hold on. Brittany asked the question.
I like Michael Parenti.
I like John Brown.
I like Luigi.
I love Luigi.
Yeah, that's a good white man, Savannah.
Good white man. And then this is where I go.
Who's that white woman from Cold Pink?
I don't know. This where I go left from Diallo. I like the white boy that wrote Nixonland. I like his book.
Oh,
Nixonland. You ain't hip to that?
I don't know Nick Pearlstein.
I like that. I
like Medea Benjamin. I like Sunsara Taylor, even though I don't agree with her on everything. I like Sunsara Taylor.
But then, like this again, this is where I get different from, because I'm gonna go into Bob James. I like Bob James. I like Gil Evans. I like Tinker Hatfield.
I like Eric McBay, the Deep Green Resistance guy.
Yeah, not Timothy.
Radical vegans, huh?
Not Timothy.
No. I think he was set up though.
What's dude? He looked like a white man, but he real deal native. He political prisoner. He got out.
Oh, Leonard Peltier.
Yeah.
He's indigenous American. He's the furthest from white.
I know.
Even though white people are so bad, your list of good whites ain't even all white. That's how bad these people been. I like Jean-Paul Sartre. If we can name dead ones. I've been trying to name living ones.
Hey, listen, let me tell y'all something. Preston John talking about John Brown. First off, one of the things I love about John Brown is the white boy that wrote his biography. I like him. That is the hardest book title in the history of book titles. To purge this land with blood.
That's a quote.
Yeah, that is a tough ass title to a book. To purge this land with blood.
And can I tell us something? Let me tell y'all something about good white people. Being kind to or in community with black people does not make you a good white in my book. To me, good white people are people who work to civilize and humanize other white people, who work to save the white race. If you are a white person who works to save black people, I think you're insidious. Your presence, unless you're writing a check, you can drop off some resources and then
Absolutely.
but don't
I
sit
also
there
think-
and with a pamphlet or a clipboard watching where the resources go.
Yeah.
So what wins, like Karl Marx, the white people who seek to civilize, humanize, and liberate whites are good white people to me.
Yep. Because this the thing. You also appear cowardly to me.
Right.
Don't come to my neighborhood building a hood house because that shit's safe. White people are as safe as they can be
Right.
around black folks. Now you better go to them trailer parks and start trying to figure out how to do some organizing. Go to these suburbs.
Radicalized white folks, yes.
Yeah, like that's what, yeah.
Right, because sometimes I'll be naming good white folks and they'll be like, what they do for us? I'm like, left us alone.
Yeah.
You know, any white person that just leave us alone. You know, Father de las Casas. There's some good white folks. The people that, but one thing I do appreciate that white folks do for us is when they tell on other white folks, when they bring white folks and tell us, even though I don't agree with his liberal politics, but John Perkins, the economic hitman.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I appreciate that for all the evil he did as a CIA asset. He came and snitched. But we always ignore the white snitches. The number one white snitch in history is Karl Marx.
Yes.
And black folks refuse to engage with Karl Marx's analysis when all he did was look at white folks and be like, oh, crap. This is what white folks do, why they do it, and the historical trends and the material conditions that brought about this current reality. And this is the future projected trajectory of this reality. And white folks hate him because they was like, he ran and told our business. You know, that's the main thing. So that's it. But again, he didn't do that for us. We just picked it up.
Yeah.
He did that for his own people.
Yeah. He was like, hey, y'all, don't fall for this banana in the tailpipe.
Right. So, Rachel Corey, yeah, she's a martyr. But she's a martyr. But here's the thing about white folks. And some black people too. I believe if you really want to solve a problem, you have to go to the source. So people that are at the end product, at the end outcome, like, let's say I don't like Nike and I don't like their practices and all that. And I'm running up to people wearing Nikes in the street, like trying to run down how bad Nike is. Now, that's maybe be a commendable thing to educate people about this horrible corporation. But that's the end product. The consumer is the end of the chain. You got to go to the source of the chain if you want to stop or shut it down. So, and I'm not even trying to seem insensitive. The problem of Palestine does not originate in Palestine. The problem of Palestine doesn't even originate in, is it real? No, it's not. The U.S. State Department, the U.S. Pentagon, the executive branch of the U.S. government, congressional budgeting and allocation, right? Great Britain, right? All those same entities in the U.K. The Zionist nation is an outpost of white hegemony and white colonialism. And I have to say this, which is another, man, what's the biggest lie the devil ever told?
He didn't exist.
What's the second biggest lie the devil ever told? That Zionism is a Jewish endeavor. Zionism is a Christian endeavor. It is the existence of Israel is a dispensation of Christian prophecy. Because y'all act like, why in the world is America supporting Israel? Why is Great Britain? Those are Christian nation, Protestant Christian, evangelical Christian. It is a WASP endeavor. And here's another thing. There's this old term that goes back in Europe it's been around as long as the English language, called Jew baiting. where the European nobles, when they would spend up the budget and overtax their peasants and the serfs, and the noblemen were sending the peasants, and they would always say, well, it's because of the Jews. And so the peasants of Europe would go out and say, well, all our problems, if we could just get rid of this insidious influence within our culture, you know, they're using our bathrooms and they're playing on our sports teams, which is the Jewish people. And you got black folks, thanks to the cult leader Farrakhan and others, that have adopted this because I don't support anti-Semitism.
No, absolutely not.
I don't support anti-Semitism. I don't even support Islamophobia. Being an atheist, I support full religious freedom under a secular governance. Religious freedom under secular governance. But what they've always done is that the European Christian elites have always used the Jews like, oh, yeah, they're over there killing the Palestinians. The financing, the legitimacy, the international political covers, the arming, all come from Christian nations. And for every Jewish Zionist, for every one Jewish Zionist you can find 1,000 Christian Zionists. The Christian Zionists outweigh the Jewish Zionists 1,000 to 1, and they get to walk in our community completely scot-free. And somebody walks with an Israeli flag, and you don't even look, you're going to chant them down and call them a baby killer. And somebody come with a Christian cross, and you don't look twice at them. And that is the second biggest lie. Oh, they don't have the financing. And I mean, that kind of became aware because Biden was so aggressively, Biden is a Catholic, an old school ruler to knuckle Catholic, an old world Catholic, not a reformed Catholic. And so, yes, and that's one thing that bothers me that people don't understand. And the second biggest supporter of the Zionist project after the Christian evangelical dispensationalists are the Arab oligarchs, the Saudis. The United Arab Emirates, the Kuwaitis have all, and the Egyptian colonizers of North Africa, they have all made peace and coordinate and support Israel. Remember when they first started bombing, expanding the bombing raid, Egypt cut off the escape route for the Palestinians. And Egypt was like cut off their supply lines in coordination with the Israeli government. Yeah, Jordan too. Jordan, yep, you snitching. I love snitching on the elite.
So it ain't snitching. It ain't snitching. You can't snitch.
It ain't? I don't know. The rules on snitching keep changing on me.
Yeah, well, this is why. You know what I'm saying? To snitch, you got to be involved in the crime.
What's a bigger crime than colonialism?
Settler you involved with colonialism?
Oh, I have to be a participant.
Yeah.
So if I'm a bystander, I can tell.
Yeah.
Even in hood crimes?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay, I got some calls to make after we go off the air.
Yeah, like, bro, like you can't tell. You can't tell that little old lady to stop snitching.
Some people do.
Yeah, I mean, and they're wrong.
And I've been called an advocate for snitching. I've been called an advocate for snitching because of my positions and what I've articulated about gang and street culture. So I've been called a snitch even though I'm not involved in no street shit.
Like, but this is the thing. Like, even I still remember our conversation talking about like gangs and shit. Like, I think one of the things that you do incredibly well is scale a thing up to a point that now we're not talking about my individual experience anymore. And I think that's a gift because I'm not a gang member at all. but I'm definitely gang affiliated. And it took me a lot to not look at being gang affiliated in the lens of the people that weren't, and not my individual experience and the code and the culture that I was taught. Um, to look at what gangs did in other communities, to look at the way that other people were treated as a result of this. Like, oh, yeah, you're right. I feel convicted on that. So, yeah, like, but like now, like somebody broke in your house. What you mean he snitched? He didn't snitch. He wasn't breaking in the house with you.
Yeah, that's good in theory, but that's not in practice, though.
Yeah,
there have been a lot of quote unquote civilians who have been assaulted and even
absolutely.
lost
But you know the thing is, bro, and then this is when we know it's time for us to go on to sign off. It's like that's what happens when there is no structure. Like, it's something my little brother said that I had never considered. He was like, power isn't in the thing that you can start. Power is in the thing that you can stop. And I grew up in a space and at a time where if somebody told someone else to leave that person alone, that person was left alone. And I don't see that anymore. And that's why when people are like, oh, we got a game problem. No, we ain't got no game problem. Because if there was a game problem, we would have structure. We don't have
and
no
I
structure.
think the reality of that is that the gangs are assets of our oppressors. So they can impose we thought that the gangs were autonomous and independent.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, when I was always, there's a lot of people from scholars to street cats here in Chicago that are studying or engaging with the gang issue. And they can tell you almost to the day that the enforcement agencies decided to deliberately decapitate the gangs, to deliberately feed the chaos, and to remove the structure. Mm-hmm. And they could reimpose that structure, but gangs have never existed for the interest or the power of Black people. They've always existed as an asset. I call gangs and gangsters, they're capitalist bottom feeders, because capitalism always needs, because their goals, their tactics, their strategies are identical to the white dominant culture.
Yep.
It's just they don't have the resources or the legitimacy. And you'll notice that when gangs or gangsters get the resources and legitimacy, they begin to act just like elite whites. 50 Cent is a good example. 50 Cent conducts himself and even dresses and speaks like a corporate CEO now. Get rich or die trying. So he's like, I was a two-bit hustler and drug dealer. He has the exact same mentality. And even people say, you can get these kids off the street and get them into school and get them educated. They could be CEOs and run companies. Yes, because the same level of ruthlessness and inhumane and predatory behavior is consistent. So gangs are under-resourced, illegitimate capitalists, and capitalists are well-resourced and legitimate gangsters. And that's why it really hurts me that the Black community has such love for gangster and gang and street culture. But right now, my city, Ricky Ross is on tour in my city right now, and people from Kansas City sending me messages and little blurbs. And he's making his round at all the Black businesses and Black organizations in Kansas City. Some I used to be a member of.
but this is the one piece that I think is just like I don't think that there is a black thing as much as it's an American thing.
Oh, so true.
And I think sometimes when it's like, oh, black people just celebrate gangsters, again, it kind of what is it? Pathologizes us in a way that isn't nearly as accurate as saying that America pathologizes.
Yeah, but the problem is we ain't American though.
I
So
agree with you.
so
And what I'm saying is this is what we know in this experience.
yeah, but we've been told better.
I ain't saying we haven't, but this is what we know in this experience.
It's what we accept.
This is what we know in this experience.
I agree. But we can know more. We can know better.
I'm not saying we can't. But what I'm saying is this is what we know. The same way earlier you was like, hey, you giving them way too much credit. I think that you are not giving the aspirational, the real fact that a whole lot of African people aspire to whiteness.
I totally agree. And that's what I was going to say. Where gangsterism came naturally to them, it was a conspiracy imposed on us.
Mm.
And I don't care wherever you see gangsterism. Most of us know the history that our so-called gangs started off as community defense organizations to protect us from white aggressions. And they were cultivated and manipulated into being predatory gangs. Our hip hop music started off as conscious and progressive and pro-social. The anti-social street money, hoes, and clothes component was deliberately constructed. So what came natural to white folks had to be cultivated and manipulated in us. Because we don't form, even in the ghetto. I moved into the inner city housing project back when nobody had to lock doors. The gangsterism in the ghetto. Because white folks put us in the worst housing, in the worst areas, and then drained all the businesses and resources and opportunity out of that community. And that's not what caused us to become gangsters. Because we naturally formed community, mutually supportive communal. They had to do additional inputs to turn it into even this individualistic. They had to warp our very perceptions of who we are and how we relate one to the other. So when I say that, I don't think black people are uniquely pathological, but I know that this gangsterism and gang shit is a European tradition that goes all the way back to the Knights of the Round Table. It goes all the way back to the Greek and Roman society, where their youth, to the Spartans. The Spartan youth were thrown out and weren't given food or any type of support, and they were told to go out there and prey on the slaves. Kill and get what you need from the slave to show how tough you are. That wasn't our culture. We had rites of passage programs where the youth would have to demonstrate their resolve and their strength, but not by preying on someone that's weaker than them or vulnerable. So I think we're not uniquely pathological. We're uniquely pro-social, which is being trained or manipulated or indoctrinated out of us. You know, and the gangs, the 5 Points gangs, the Irish gangs, and the thugs, Meyer Lansky, Bussy Siegel. In fact, a lot of black street gangs, they adopt that. Haitian Sicilians, La Costa Nostra. I know black folks ain't the gangsters. Real gangsters don't wear sneakers. So the bastardization of gangsterism and gang culture is really tragic because they ain't even our culture
at all.
But anyway, bro, if you want to close us out.
For sure. God of our grandmothers, God of their grandmothers, God of their grandmothers, creator of heaven and earth, of all that is seen and unseen, thank you. Thank you for community. Thank you for peace. Thank you for the ability to struggle and resist as we move into this holiday season. give us the courage to help people find places to be warm, help people find ways to get food in people's bellies, greet people with smiles, patience, and kindness as we learn and grow what it takes to be great. Keep our families safe, healthy, protect our homes as we love each other. Amen.
Ashe. All right, bro. Until next time. Ain't next time. I'm calling you tomorrow.
All right, man. Hit my line.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, bro.
All right.